So, good thing this film was only just under 2 hours, because any longer and then it would really drag on. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're talking about a new Disney release, Raya and the Last Dragon. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you were excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it, let me know so we can discuss. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there and growing the community. And if you are new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Raya and the Last Dragon. This takes place in the fantasy world of Kumandra, where long ago, humans and dragons lived together in harmony. However, when sinister monsters known as the Druun threatened their land, the dragons sacrificed themselves to save humanity. Now, 500 years later, those same monsters have returned, and it's up to a lone warrior to track down the last dragon and stop the Druun for good. This is Walt Disney Animation Studios' 59th animated feature, getting released simultaneously in both theaters and on Disney Plus with Premiere Access. It's co-written by playwright Queen Yen and Adele Lim, the latter of whom also wrote Crazy Rich Asians, and it's directed by Don Hall, who also directed Big Hero 6 and Moana, as well as Carlos Lopez Estrada, who directed one of 2018's most underrated films, Blindspotting. And you have a phenomenal voice cast leading this, with this probably being some of the best voice work in a Disney film I've seen in a while. You have Kelly Marie Tran as Raya, Awkwafina as the dragon Sisu, Daniel Day Kim as Raya's father Beha, Alan Tudyk as her friend Tuk Tuk, Gemma Chan as Raya's enemy Namari, Sandra Oh as her mother, and Benedict Wong as a warrior named Tung. All of whom were great. I actually didn't realize until like a few days before this was released that Kelly Marie Tran was Raya, but I'm especially happy to see her back in the spotlight here between this and the second Croods movie, having come back after being mercilessly harassed over Star Wars, which is honestly still one of the most upsetting things to hear about, but she was very good here, and I hope we do see more from her. Though Awkwafina was probably the big standout here as Sisu, providing much of the comedic relief. She kind of reminded me a bit of the genie from Aladdin, but not so much with impressions and pop culture references. It's just, she makes a lot of jokes that do have a very modern feel to them. Like early on, when she describes her skills as a dragon, she compares it to working on a group project where one person gets as much credit despite not doing most of the work, which I found to be hilarious, and I really enjoyed anytime she was on screen. As for the story itself, I will say, parts of it will feel a bit familiar. There are certain elements, including one big moment in particular, that will feel very Disney-like, where they play into all their usual tropes, but I'd say the film as a whole didn't feel predictable. There's actually a pretty dense mythology that the film has to get through as we explore this whole world. I've actually heard some people compare this to the two Avatar series, and in very general terms, sure. Both this film and Avatar do have different tribes with different abilities, and there are mystical powers, but the stories are otherwise pretty different beyond that. I did like the way in which a lot of the exposition was given to us. At first, we get some narration in the very beginning to walk us through everything that happened 500 years ago. However, there's still a lot of ground to cover, and the way in which it explores that is it allows for characters to give very detailed monologues about other aspects of this world and still find a way for it to come off as natural. For example, since the film initially deals with a world that has been isolated and fractured into tribes, it would be natural if characters only knew so little about anything that's outside of their bubble. So there's a scene early on where Raya's father is testing her on what her knowledge is of the other tribes as they're on their way to meet with them for the first time in years. So she has to rattle off as much information as she knows about them so he knows she's prepared. And while the film has a lot of exposition to give us and world building to explore, at times it does slow down the pacing here and there, but I do like that it's done in such a way that it still allows it to be, for the most part, interesting. Now, the only other major complaint I had with this was that the Druun, who are supposed to be the big villains of the story, were a little underwhelming. They're just these evil spirits that silently cause destruction in their wake. It's not like we're dealing with anyone who gives off that classic Disney villain feel. The closest would be Namari, but she's less of a villain and more of this really aggressive adversary towards Raya, who clashes with her repeatedly as the two don't trust each other, which winds up being one of the film's biggest themes, building trust. Since this involves Raya having to travel across all these lands and meet with different tribes who have long been torn apart, one of the major arcs here is about them all coming together and trusting one another and to not keep their guards start so high up. And I thought the way it was handled here was very effective, and it was done in such a way that I think kids will definitely get something out of it and take home a valuable lesson. Though like many of Disney's classic films, this is accessible to both children and adults. One area where adults will truly be able to appreciate it is the action scenes, because we get quite a few of these moments, and I gotta say, they were pretty exciting. Between the energetic soundtrack, the quick edits, as well as a lot of the choreography, there were a few times, especially in the last act, where it had me on the edge of my seat. This is probably the closest I've seen Disney do a full-on action movie in their animated films in quite some time, probably since Big Hero 6, and on that level alone, I thought it excelled. That might have just been my favorite element of this entire movie, along with Awkwafina's performance. And what helps too is that the animation is once again stunning. Some of the shots here of Kumandra with the detailed landscapes and great character designs were absolutely beautiful, and the images are so sharp and bursting with color that this is probably some of their finest work in quite some time in that department. I was incredibly happy with how this looked. Overall, this is another hit for Disney. Part of it might feel a bit familiar, and it doesn't have a memorable villain like in its other films, but this is a beautifully animated movie filled with an engaging lore, very exciting action scenes, a talented voice cast led by Kelly Marie Tran and Awkwafina, and a nice lesson about building trust with others and strengthening relationships. All that together, and you have another Disney film that you certainly don't want to miss. Raya and the Last Dragon gets an 8.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Raya and the Last Dragon, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did the story work for you? Was it one of the better Disney movies you've seen lately? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.